wonder how much alcohol it had.
So there's 2 livers there. See? Gizzard. And another gizzard and a heart.
Oh, that's the one.
Isn't it cute?
I'm gonna eat it.
Looks like a.
Okay.
Oh, the tip of the penis.
So the duck has lots of. Well, why do you think they include this extra skin? Do we need it?
You can tuck it under.
For fat, yeah, and flavor. So it would be
That looks
like
real
that.
strange.
You like that?
No, I don't.
Would be,
She said you like that.
okay. So that's the next. So why do we have this?
Is it used to add extra for basting?
Because it has what?
Fat.
Fat. We prize ducks for their fat.
Mhm.
We don't want to trim it too far up because do you see this right here? It's broad, it's very square.
Mm-hmm.
The duck breasts have a nice thick fat between the meat and the skin. So we want to kind of cut in. We're going to remove that fat, but we can reserve it because it can be rendered down, right? And we can have that duck fat. We can fry in duck fat, we can shallow fry, we can saute with duck fat. So when you're frying up those gizzards, you can use its own fat.
So,
right? Yes.
quick question. Like, say a piece of meat like bison, that's very lean.
Yes.
If you wanted to add that extra flavor to, can you use that to wrap it in there?
So there's those wings, right? And just like on the chicken, like that wings. Yes, absolutely.
I need you to stop.
Here's the thing. You guys gotta listen, okay? Please. We do not want to cut into that breast, and you have to kind of be really careful that we don't accidentally cut into the breast. There's the wishbone right here, and we want to get as much off of that duck as possible. So whenever you're fabricating or you're breaking something down, there's a couple things you want to keep in mind. If you're separating muscles, you want to do what we call follow the seam. There's a natural separation of muscles. Remember with that sinew, when we did it with the chickens, we kind of went like this, and when we cut, it was like it automatically opened up. That's called a natural seam. So when you're separating muscles, you follow the seam. When you're deboning, even if you don't know the anatomy of the animal, you just follow along the bone. That's a good rule of thumb, all right? So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna take off the duck wing, okay? So we're gonna be very careful not to cut into the breast meat. We'll take that wing off, okay? It's gonna have that joint there that we're just gonna break, okay? Best used for maybe rendering down or using in stock. I do know some people that serve duck wing. Again, armpit. Does that hurt your feelings?
No, not at all.
All right, so we're along the back, but we don't want to cut into that breastbone, so I'm going to expose that joint. Oops, see, I took. Right, well, you want to cut. There's 2 that come together. Or chicken. Yeah. The next thing we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and cut along that line, but I'm going to keep the legs in place. It will kind of keep it steady, so that when I go to cut that breast off the bone, it doesn't wobble all over the place. So wobble, wobble.
Shake.
You'd still have that rib cage here, the sternum. So we're gonna go to the outside. We're being very careful to keep as much skin on the breast side as possible. Okay.
That's a lot of fat.
Yes, it is a lot of fat.
It's
Okay. So we're gonna cut it down to that. Sorry, stay close to the bone. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm tired. I'm a little tired today. I might cut my hand off. I have no idea. All right. So what we want to do is stay close to that carcass as possible to remove that thigh. All right. I just said I was going to leave the leg on, didn't I? But we want to leave the skin intact. I'm still going to keep it on there. I'm not going to take it off yet. But that thigh is going to be up underneath. Okay. This is still the nice broad breast.
So when they do confit and they use the leg quarter, do they? The skin isn't still on.
But being careful not to disturb the breast. All right, and exposing that. The next thing we want to do is we want to find that wishbone. Okay, basically it's the same thing as our collarbone. Once we do that, it'll be easier to get the breast off or identify where it is. So obviously it's like a little V that's here, okay? Put away some of this stuff. We're going to make that long incision, all right? Just be careful. We don't want to, you know, if you make smaller cuts in this instance, the less mistakes you make, if that makes sense. If you do a big long cut and it's a wrong cut, that's a big mistake, okay? But if we kind of, it should be even. And just follow the bone, kind of remove breast from the sternum. I'm following that rib cage, and there's a lot of kind of cartilage type material in here that you need to be careful that you don't cut through. And just like the duck, there is the tenderloin on the back side here. Okay, we can right here up by this wishbone, we can kind of use our fingers too to separate that off. One thing that we didn't cover when we were talking about the chickens is why we remove the tender most of the time. There's not often that you get chicken breast with the tender still attached. Thank you. Why do you think that is?
Because they can sell it more and
Okay,
make more money.
awesome. The other thing is, it's almost impossible to not overcook that tender when it's still attached to the breast. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's so small that by the time the thickness of the full breast is cooked, that tender will be overcooked, okay? All right, so just like that, I'm gonna go on the other side of the sternum. I'm just gonna kind of do my even strokes, following along that cartilage, and now you can see what kind of material is there. You see it's like the rib cage, and that sternum is a lot more, it's a lot softer than a chicken. You see that? Okay? It's because I'm good. Just kidding. So we're just gonna follow along any bone. The duck is very prized and they can be very expensive, so we don't want to waste any of that duck, okay? So again, we have that wishbone up here, though I want to be careful about Shalay, you're having way too much fun over there, sister.
Oh, it's just, you make it look like it's real easy.
Well,
Nah, it is.
and you can too.
Right.
One day,
It's
when you
real
grow
easy.
up. I want to be a chef when I grow up. One day when I grow up too, Shalay. We're both in the same boat. Okay, so be very careful. Okay, always know where your fingers are too, by the way, especially when you're coming up that way. All right, we don't ever want to. And I'll tell you, like this one, it's not that cold, which is kind of scary. We would want it to be, you know, cold. But when meats are cold and you're cutting, it's very easy to cut your finger and not realize it. Remember we had that talk?
Yes.
Okay, so you just need to be very careful. Absolutely, like not like let it go frozen, but you know, frozen, just the same. Get it? Did you get that? The let it go?
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
The next thing, so we have this carcass, we're gonna remove, wow. We're gonna remove as close to the back as possible. And then we're gonna lift this up and cut away. And then peel it back. I learned this lesson, Paula. When you pull it away like that, that's the best way to get the oyster. You see that spot right there?
That's where it was.
You see? I taught myself.
Yeah.
I taught myself because I was getting pissed. Now I know. So I cut it up to here, and then when I pulled, that oyster meat came with it. Okay? So I'm going to do it again. My pocket is buzzing, and it might be the team. So hold on. They're going to have to hold on. Sorry, not you.
the middle of fabrication here.
Right? Don't mess with my fabrication demo. All right, so again, right up here. And once I get to that oyster, Paula, what am I gonna do?
You're gonna pull.
I'm gonna pull. So I'm gonna pop that joint, pull, and that oyster muscle is gonna stay on that cut. All right, so now we're left with the carcass. And anytime a carcass is gonna be used for stock, we remove the fat, right? So we're gonna remove that excess fat. We can save it for rendering. Don't do it yet. I don't even know if I can get a hang on it.